recording. I think everything's working on it. I tested. So we should be all right. Hop in, hop in. Okay, so we are going to go over boss 4 and theoretically 5 as well today. Starting with this boy here, Araz, the Forgeweaver. Pretty cool looking. There's like a shield here protecting us from the void. There's pumps. There's collectors over here. This is like, he's like the machinist guy. He's like controlling the forge. So he's pretty sick. Actually, fight wise, like design wise, I think one of the coolest fights in here, until you get to the last two. If they tune it right, I think it's going to be hella fun. We are actually, most of what we're going to be watching for PTRU is going to be on heroic, but however, I wanted to pull mythic footage for this just to show you guys how it works, because I think the fight makes much more sense on mythic than it does on heroic, and we can just learn the mechanics that way.
Like Kaiveza.
Yeah. Was Kaiveza like that? How did Kaiveza work? Oh, I guess yeah, because Kaiveza, yeah, you had to have a lot more structure and like send it through the boss and be more symmetrical, huh? Okay, so you guys are all in here. Let's go ahead and just watch through this. I'll call out mechanics as they happen. But really interesting two-phase fight with an intermission. I think all of it is very cool. I don't think there's one throwaway part of the fight. So first thing here is he's just going to channel into a collector and make it live. He's going to erect it, and then it's going to shoot out these slow-moving orbs. Basically a non-mechanic. But opposite of that, on Mythic spawns this black hole. Now, what the black hole does is it actually makes the ads vulnerable, and these are what's spawning here. So you see these three lines? They're coming from the collector, which means that these three ads that are spawning are going to try and get to the collector. So you drop them on the other side so that your line is going through the void zone or the black hole, and it makes the ads vulnerable, and you can cleave them down. These do not cleave you when they spawn, so it's a little counterintuitive. There's like there's a graphic around you, but you can actually pixel stack as 3 people, and you might as well, right? So that you can cleave them down nice and clean. So they're going to do that here. Ads are going to spawn. This happens pretty quick, and then the ads go through. They have the shield, right? But they go through the black hole, and now they're vulnerable. Now you can hit them. Okay, so that's all happening there. All of those mechanics just happened, and now we're doing the soak. This soak is pretty unique. They handled it a little differently than I think you should. The way that this soak works is when you soak, it gives you a 10-minute debuff. So it's a long vulnerability, but it's not a vulnerability. Actually, what it does is it makes it so that you cannot soak again, in the sense that it doesn't lower the damage that the soak does. So you can be in there, but it's not going to lower it anymore. You can only just do it once every 10 minutes to lower the damage of it. So I think you'll need a 4-group rotation. I'm not exactly sure about the cadence of how many times it comes out, but I think we'll just do like, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, probably something like that. Or maybe just have the tanks do one and then do like groups of 6, depending on the damage. It's also interesting in that it doesn't just do damage to the people that soaked, but it does damage to the whole raid, depending on how many people soak. So it doesn't matter where you are in the room, you're going to take a big burst of damage when this thing comes out, and it spawns an ad. So there's a lot that happens here. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think splitting into the groups and soaking that way. They do 2 groups and then they over soak and then they take mega damage later because they aren't reducing any damage. But on PTR that was okay. But
is there immune soaks, or
you still get debuffed if you immune. So yeah, immunity doesn't really do anything for you except for you just don't take the AoE raid damage when it hits. So now we spawn an ad here. It's called the Echo. I don't know if you guys can see that. Would it be better if I just full screen this? It's probably better, right?
Yep.
Let me full screen it.
Yep.
Sorry about that. So now there's an Echo and the boss, and then these 3 ads. These 3 ads, by the way, fully CCable. You can knock them back. You can stun them. You can do everything to them. You can grip them. You can root them. You can do literally anything to these, and we should, to try and keep them close for cleave. What groups have been doing is they've been pairing the echo with these manifestations and cleaving the manifestations off of the echo and CCing the manifestations on the echo. These die really quick, whereas the echo's a bit bigger. However, as you'll notice here, the boss is going to get dragged away. The boss cannot be within 20 yards of the echo, or they both do increase damage and take 99% reduced damage. So they have to be taken apart, the two of them. So see, the echo will go with them. They did some grips there, and the boss went away. Now, really, the timer on this ad is until the next ad spawns and the next soak happens, right? Because those two mechanics are tied. So they're choosing to focus the ad here, and then they'll come back to the boss once the ad is dead, because they needed to do that before the next ad spawned. And what this ad does is it actually duplicates what the boss does, so it'll just double mechanics while it's up. Okay, so we awoke this collector, which means the black hole is going to be over here, so they drag the boss next to that so that people can place their ads. See, they knew the black hole was coming. There it is. And then these ads. Really cool graphic showing you like where the ads are going to go. So put these on the other side. There's no black hole and there's no vulnerability on heroic, by the way. You just place the ads on the boss and just cleave them down. So they're going to do that again. You've seen all these mechanics. All good. Really fun though.
Grip.
Like, yes, yeah. Grip is going to be very good here. So, yeah, they controlled a couple of ads down here. I don't remember. I think there's a third one. Yep. Yeah, so they woke the third collector. Then they do this. This starts to speed up a little bit, I believe, where they have to do like back-to-back sets of ads. If the echo is out enough, then they have to do like 2 sets of ads, which may be intended. See, there's another black hole, so they got to run, go do that one. So it's like speeding up. It's like doubling the speed. Very kind of hectic, but if we got good boss movement and like good echo movement here, then it goes okay. Then there's a new black hole. They're gonna run across, put these ads behind that black hole, and I think they're gonna get another ad spawn, or maybe not actually. So they missed one here, and so it's gonna explode and do a bunch of raid damage. One guy died. Who knows how that's gonna be tuned? That's a normal knockback. So it does a knockback and puts out a dot going into the intermission, and now we've got the intermission. So this is super unique. On Mythic, all of these collectors around the room need to die, but they need to die at the same time to end the phase. So the way that they've elected to do this is they split 2 groups to kill these 2, but there's a triangle of collectors, so there's a third one. And then they just had, on the back one, had dot classes dotted up, and or cleave, like spread cleave classes, spread cleave that down. And then once they got these 2 collectors to like 15-20%, then they'd switch to the one in the back, get that one low, and then they'd kill them all together. You could imagine that we split into 3 groups here and have assignments, but however you need to do that, you just need to kill them all at the same time. They start pulsing mega raid damage, even if they're like 1 second apart. They kind of need to die very coordinated. So that's a bit rough. There's a little bit of dodging in this phase, and then the other thing is that is mostly for tanks to figure out. There are ads that will spawn from the Forge, or the Iris, which is the center here. You're going to see those here in a second. Those are, yep, these attendants. Shielded attendants is what they're called, and they do have a shield on them. Those, he's not going to focus on them, but those are really key. A couple of things about them. Number one, you see this lightning beam here? This is saying that this collector is hitting 100 energy, and it's going to transfer energy to the Iris. It'll do big damage to the group. So you can actually put a shielded attendant in this line, and it will soak it. So you have to track tanks will need to track the energy of the collectors and the order that they're going to receive 100 energy in and bring those attendants over. The attendants as well, they ramp in damage. They hit harder and faster. They get like a they get a buff the more times they hit the same target. So tanks will just need to coordinate a taunt swap at some point on the stacks to keep the stacks low. But those ads have a ton of health, so they'll actually last longer than this intermission. So they burn this down. It channels into the forge one tick there, and it dropped him to almost half HP. But it's okay. Oh, it channeled again into there. But okay, they killed them all, and it's okay. Now the boss gets a vulnerability. I believe this is 100% damage amp for 12 seconds on the boss right after. So the forge kind of exploded. He's got splinters in him, I think is the lore. And then the attendants are on top of him. So you got a damage amp on the boss, and then you've got 2 attendants to cleave onto, and tanks just kind of keep your stacks low, taunt swap whenever you call. So this is pretty cool. This is happening. This is where they elected to lust, is at the end of the intermission, which we may do, maybe not. It might be a last phase angle. And that's it. So there's a bunch of cleave, there's a bunch of spread cleave, there's a bunch of cool movement. I think it's super cool. The boss pushes, what they figured out is the boss pushes at 25%, but if they do the intermission and then they get the damage amp on the boss, they actually can still do the full damage amp, and they pushed him really low and had a super low phase 3. I'm not sure if it's going to go live that way, but let's skip over. Oh, hi, what's up, Kalamazoo? Okay, let's skip over the rest of the phase, because this is the same one that you've seen with the black holes. They're managing this exactly the same way.
This is not phase. This is intermission.
Okay, so they're going to intermission here, and I believe the boss is at like 26% or something like that, but they're gonna like burn him down super low and have a really short last phase, which if it goes live like that, that's definitely gonna be the meta. But we'll see. Most likely they fix that and it just transitions so they have a set length on the last phase. Okay, just trying to keep the collectors even here. A little bit to dodge, but mostly this is just a control phase. It's not too hard as long as you do it right. Okay, they're killing both. Looks good. And now they're on the boss. And it's gonna get a damage amp. And yeah, like this boss is just melting in damage amp and execute here with 2 funnel ads. So this is phase 3. We're not going to see much of this because they did that, but so you see this line here, it's encroaching like void and darkness, sucking you in to here. So the void is coming closer, and the suck is increasing in intensity throughout the phase, and you are going to spawn ads, and the boss will knock you back in Mythic. So the knockback, I'm not sure how we would deal with that. That seems really rough during the suck. They're close here, by the way. That's with Burning Rush. He's barely making any headway. So the suck gets really intense really quickly. So planning like movement speed and that sort of thing is going to be really sick here, and like a gateway towards the back that'll save people some time there at the end will be very good. You can pixel stack these ads just on the other side of the boss, so they'll come right through the boss, and you can just cleave off of the boss here. And yeah, they started this phase at 8%. If you started at 25%, you can imagine this going. See, he's running full speed away from it, and he's actually losing ground. And we've only been in this phase like, what, 30 seconds? So that increases suction massive very quickly. It's a big problem. But yeah, they cheesed the health, so the last phase went super short. But that could be very relevant otherwise. But yeah, cool boss. Any questions about said boss? I think in general, when we spawn the Echo, we should pull the boss away. I think that's in general what should happen. And that way DPS and melee can kind of just stay full uptime in the area. And so we can drop the the soak close to the boss, and then like as soon as it goes off, boom, we drag the boss away real quick. I think that's probably how it should go. And then these are the ads in the intermission. They can be dragged around. I'm not sure if two of them like on opposite sides will reach 100 energy, so the tanks need to split up at some point, but that might be the case. That'll just be something we need to be aware of and how that pattern works. It may be you saw him in phase 1 like erecting these collectors pretty quickly. And in an order, so it may just follow that order. So if you can just memorize like when he erected them, that's probably when they hit 100 energy. So I'm not sure, but obviously if they all go to 100 energy at the same time, you can't soak them all because it's just 2 ads and 3 collectors. Cool. So that's it with that. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi.
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
Seems
yeah, that
pretty straightforward.
it is, yeah, but I really like it. I think that the pacing of it, of how it's spawning the ads really quick like that, I think we're gonna have a good time. I think it's gonna be a very good boss.
Hopefully, we have damage to kill the ads and not feel like you're never uptime on the boss.
Hopefully, you
Yeah.
can cleave off of the big ads enough to control the little ads onto them. I think that's the goal, and I think that would be fun. And then spread dot classes are going to have an insane time, because even when the boss gets pulled away, they can hit everything in the room, and you can hit everything in the room here. You can hit 5 targets, maybe even funnel off the boss, even though it's taking reduced damage. If you get resources, you can have like 6 targets you're hitting if you just stand kind of towards the middle of the room or whatever. So there's definitely some cool degeneracy that could go on with this fight, but I think it'll be fun. Okay, cool. If you guys are ready, we can move on to the next one then. The Demon Hunter boss, the optional boss in the raid. Whatever, nobody knows what that means yet. But yeah, these guys are super cool. This is if you didn't guess just by looking at it, a council fight. Kind of similar to Council of Dreams, to be honest, in a lot of ways. But the aesthetic is just way more badass because it's all demon huntery. It's pretty chaotic. There are some mechanic overlaps that are going to be chaotic, but we'll talk through what's going on and how to handle it here. So let's go.
All right, last pull, boys. Lock in.
Lock in, Kalamazi.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so demon hunters spawn, and there's a Fel Inferno that goes around the room.
Ooh, love that noise.
Pretty cool.
It gets me going. Thank you, Blizz. All right, we're not getting any rolling habit.
Okay, so Devourer's Ire is the first thing that comes out here. There's 3 void zone circles here for soaking. This basically just controls where the debuff is going to go, but on Heroic, I believe it's 2 debuffs that are out permanently throughout the fight. They're dispellable, but if you dispel it, it jumps. So throughout the fight, healers just manage dispel stacks. It does increasing damage and a healing absorb on the person that has it. However, it has a good side to it as well, is that you can slurp up the void zones that are around the room. There's growing like puddles, and you can just slurp them up. If you don't slurp it all the way up, the puddle will re-expand, so you want to slurp it all the way up. And then just be careful, if you've had the debuff for a while, it starts to hit harder, so you might want to send a little something on it. Healers, it'll probably be something where we just decide on 6 or 8 stacks or something like that. We dispel whatever we think is going to be consistently reliable, but gives people enough time to soak a couple of puddles. And that's all that is.
Thank you, Blizz. All right, we're not getting any rolling habit. All right, there's a proc right there. All right.
So they get those debuffs out, and so they look like that. And so these are your slurpers. Then I have this blue thing on there. Fracture happening on the tank right now. Kind of a cool mechanic. Makes the tank take mega damage. On the PTR, this was hurting so bad. However, there are these, I don't know if you saw those spawn. Let's see, fracture. So yeah, you see this spawning over here. These are like images of your tank, and anybody can go pick those up, and that basically brings those fractured souls back to your tank.
Like Gold Daniel, dude.
Is it? I don't know. I didn't play that, but if it is, that's cool. That's that there.
Thank you, Ian.
I-beam on the tank coming across there. Super cool. It knocks you back too. That I-beam pushes back really hard.
It's all right, you know.
Okay, we've got Spirit Bomb happening, so that's just a dodge. And then here's the puddles. You take these puddles do damage, but you also take increased damage from all other mechanics whenever you're in it. So, and this will become relevant later when there's something that we need to soak. So the hunt. This is what's happening here. When you get this, you see these eyes? You'll get eyes above your head, and this guy's being hunted. I think it's like Pung Newman or whatever his name is, whatever. He can move while the hunt is going on, and he can extend the line as he should, and probably extend it through melee so that you can get as many people to soak it. You get a area when you're in it. You can see these circles, so you can't be on top of other people while you're in it. So that's why you want to extend the line to give people enough space to spread out in the hunt. So this is probably the hardest part of the fight, is if you can get that done, then you're in good shape. This is where you typically lose most people. And so as long as your room is clean, the puddles, and you have enough people to soak, then you typically are going to be just fine living this. But this is what was killing people most of the time. So I would say, you know, I would like to see them extend that a little bit more. It was a little closer. So that's most of the mechanics on Mythic that's happening. There's just going to be different overlaps here. Void Step happening. This is Blade Dance. These lines here, it's Blade Dancing. You know, stay out of those lines. Okay, there's another hunt, so they're going to extend that line through melee. People are going to get in it and try and spread out, but it hurts a lot, at least on PTR, the way it was tuned. Hurts a lot if you're not spread out. Soaking the Fracture Souls, they got those right away. Their tank is happy. And a lot more puddles. Want to slurp it, just keep the room clean. Slurp all the way. You just have to stand right in the dead center to slurp it all the way up. See this one? He wasn't quite in the dead center. Okay, and then he moved and he got it. Okay, now we're in an intermission. So basically, you know, your Void Demon Hunter first, possible new spec or whatever, he does his intermission. Basically, they like ultimate. So he like metamorphosizes or whatever, I don't know, Demon Hunter stuff. And now there's a couple of things happening. So you're getting sucked towards the middle. If you touch the middle, you're dead. There's also orbs coming from around the room. So kind of like Fire Rack almost, you want to soak those orbs. They do increasing damage. It's just a little less intense, but they do increasing damage to you the more that you soak, but you can let the debuff fall off. It doesn't stay for very long. On Mythic, by the way, you're chained to other players, Swamp Face style, and if you go more than 8 yards apart, you get snapped together during this part. It's actually... It's 3-player. You can't bait it on the player. There's no like logic where if you stand on top of somebody, you can get baited to them, and it picks 3 players. It's a really interesting way to do that because the middle guy basically never gets snapped, whereas the outside people get snapped to the middle guy. So the outside people are at the mercy of the middle guy. So the middle guy, you want to be the middle guy. It feels much better to be the middle guy and control and drive the bus, I think. But the outside people are kind of just, you know, stuck within 8 yards of whoever that is. So it's pretty chill for the most part. Just don't get drug into the center, and as long as you kept your room clear, right? This could hurt quite a bit if there were puddles and stuff on the ground. But now we set up, and for the most part, you can get 3-target cleave almost like 100% of the time. It wasn't, you couldn't see it there, but even during the intermission, the ads are actually kind of floating up above, or the other bosses. These are hittable, and I don't think they take reduced damage. So like dot classes were kind of starting to go crazy, but I don't know if that'll go live like that. Probably not, but maybe. Something to be aware of. So they go back into it, and it's just that. So you've got consume, which is this dot, putting things you want to slurp, and then the fracture. They're not soaking for their tank, and their tank's actually getting absolutely blazed, just trucked. It was super scary, even on heroic. If you didn't get those fractures, I think as long as you do the mechanics, this fight seems super like
Cranky today, bro.
controlled. But as soon as you miss one, it punishes you real quick. So here's the hunt. This is a nice little spread here, and he extended that pretty nice.
Congratulations.
I think on heroics, since you don't get debuffed, on mythic, by the way, there's 3 hunts at the same time, and so you have to split groups into 3. They kind of come out in succession. It's like boom, boom, boom.
Do they come from the
and
same guy, or they come from all 3 of them?
They
Like one from each.
they have different anchor points, so you can kind of spread them out a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But you have to kind of track which one spawned when and which one you're assigned to, because you can't soak 2. You get take like 500% more damage in the second one or something like that,
Congratulations.
and it's also hard to get to it. So that's it. That's basically everything there.
We're getting close to entering Shadow.
Next intermission happens. You can see that because it trades, so there's another demon hunter that's going to do his metamorphosizing and intermission, and so these are blaze lines basically. However, they're a little different than blaze lines. They actually have an anchor point with a guy over here. You can see it over here. So if he moves, it actually tilts along this point. This point never moves, and it tilts a little bit. So that's a little bit different than blaze lines. Also, it has a fixed. It has like a fixed. What's the word for this? Length or whatever. So if you strafe along the line, it doesn't move even at all, even at the tips. Like it won't move here, and it won't move it across. But if you move anywhere this way, it will pivot. So you basically handle this like blaze, right? Just move as minimally as possible. But it's slightly different from blaze, so it's kind of nice to know that and exactly how it works. And this, while you are chained to 3 people, is absolute AIDS.
Dude, it's gonna be sick. I think
Yeah.
it's cool.
I don't mind
It's super
fights like
cool.
this.
This
And
one's
it's like
cool.
the room's not too big, you know, like it's big enough, but like not like insane.
So the enrage is all 3 of them will meta at the same time. So you have to deal with all 3 of the mechanics. The other one that you don't see is on PTR. They were killing it too fast. Is he's like the tank one, and he fell devs. So he'll jump to one corner of the room and then breath and do like a cone attack across it. And so you have to move kind of together, and he's slowing you at the same time. So very good. Like,
Is that just when he's meta or just during the enrage?
just during meta, and
Okay.
the enrage as well.
Is he the
But-
final meta guy?
Yeah, he's the final one, at least on PTR. That's what was happening. But yeah, people were getting absolutely blazed by this because they didn't see the cone coming, and they were slowed. But yeah, you can do like a wind rush totem, anti-snare type stuff would be so powerful in that one. And yeah, that's really all that's going on there. You're just dodging those breaths, and he'll jump to another side of the room and breath, and so you'll want to kind of swing around the outside of the room and just go together as a group, because if you're chained together as well while those breaths are coming out and you have to move and you're slowed, it's you want to stay organized.
Brother, we're just rolling with this.
They're gonna kill this
I
guy.
can't wait to hate 2 of my friends.
Yeah, dude, that'll be so much hate.
I'm rolling with Eva. I don't care.
This boss did more
Even
damage
appropriate.
than like any other boss on PTR as well.
I don't care anymore.
There was a lot to heal here.
That's why it's optional.
So these don't need to be killed at the same time either, it looks like.
Yeah, it does not look like there's any mechanic that they enrage or whatever.
I wonder if they'll just go like perma meta though.
They just tick for their whole health bars right at the end there. Everyone
That's
went to, like, a
true.
quarter of their health.
Good
Wanna
call.
hit it again?
What was that exactly?
I think that was 2 ticks going off at once.
Good call.
2 ticks at the same time.
Yeah, it was
Whoa.
as the 2 bosses were dead. It's just mass damage on the raid.
I could move for that, but I'm not
Boom. There's like, oh, I wonder if these are their soul crystals or something, and they're ticking or something.
Yeah.
It might be that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
but then
like
like
the
right as they kill the boss, there we go, right there.
All right, let's investigate. Flashbang. Where is that in the dungeon journal? Let me know if you see it. Soul tether. This is the binding. Residue. Maybe it's at the top. These are the individuals. So Adaris is the void one. I don't actually see this in the dungeon journal, what that was. But yeah, it looked like that. Maybe that was the case. Maybe you can survive a couple ticks, right? But you do kind of want to kill them together. If that's the case. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from. Unending hunger. Yep. Yeah, I don't see it. On mythic difficulty. Maybe heroic. No, that's an area. Yep, that's it. Don't see it.
Maybe it's just ramping damage.
Yeah, could be. All right. But that's it. That's those two bosses. It's been about a half hour, so I don't want to keep you guys much longer. But yeah, excited to work on them with you all in, what is it? Less than a month now? Is it like 3
But 2.5 weeks. 3
Three,
weeks.
until the raid
Pretty soon, dude.
releases?
Yeah, the 11th, right?
Man, it doesn't seem like it's that close, but it is kind of
Pretty
close.
dude.
Super close, dude.
Cool. All right, I'll go ahead
Pretty
and
close.
end this dang stream.